One of the big pieces of news to come out at E3 this year was that Microsoft confirmed that they are working on the next Xbox, still under the title of Project Scarlet, and will release sometime late 2020. Now, we didn't get any in-depth specs or anything. We don't know what's going to be inside the system for sure, but they did talk numbers in terms of what it's going to be capable of. And those numbers sound pretty familiar. A few months prior to E3, PlayStation's Mark Cerny did an interview with Wired regarding what the PlayStation 5 is going to be capable of, and the numbers are pretty much the same thing that Microsoft announced. We're looking at systems that are going to be capable of 8K resolution, 120 frames per second, and one specific piece of tech they've referenced a lot is the fact that both systems are going to be the first home consoles to start making use of SSDs, which will dramatically improve load times. And that's basically all we really know about these two systems so far. We don't know the specific cards that are going to be in them, although we know which companies they are partnered with. We don't know the processor, how much RAM. We just know, hey, there's an SSD and it's capable of 8K 120 frames. So with that in mind, it's kind of raising the question of how much are these systems going to cost? Performance numbers are cool and exciting and all, but at the end of the day, cost is a very important figure to talk about because that's going to be the number that helps a lot of people decide which of these two systems to get or whether or not they're even going to adopt the new generation of systems right away or not. So hearing big numbers is cool, but it also gives you the thought of, well, really, how much is this gonna be? Because big numbers can be very dangerous. I mean, good examples of this are way back with the PS3 when that launched. How much it was running for turned a lot of people off compared to the 360. And the Xbox One had a lot of problems because it was a forced bundle with the Kinect at first, which drove the cost even higher. So with those performance numbers in mind, let's take a look at the actual tech and how much it costs to make a machine like this. Now again, we do not know specific specs of what's going to be in these systems, but we can make some educated guesses based on the performance that's been talked about, as well as just little bits from articles including that Cerny interview. So to begin with, let's take a look at the processor. When talking to Wired, Cerny mentioned that specifically they'll be using AMD's new Zen 2 architecture, which makes sense. AMD has been the main partner for both PlayStation and Microsoft, and specifically, he mentioned making use of an 8-core processor. Now, those chips aren't actually out yet, but we do have MSRPs for when they'll be releasing. So as a similar example, at 8 cores, there's the Ryzen 7 3800X, which is priced at $399. We are already down the cost of a PS4 Pro. Now, as for the GPU, again, we know they're working with AMD. They've talked about 8K resolutions and that it's going to have ray tracing. Now, the thing about that is we don't actually have any AMD cards priced out yet that have ray tracing. They're just not out yet. So the closest equivalent we have at the moment is the RX 5700, which goes for $379. Now, if we want to talk about the idea of ray tracing, if that makes things cost more, well, an equivalent card from NVIDIA goes for $350 that has ray tracing. That's the RTX 2060. So price range is about the same. We're going to stick with that $379 figure just as an example for now. One part of the system we do know at least a little more about is that it's going to include an SSD. Now, according to Cerny, once again, as a source, he's mentioning the fact that the SSDs they're putting in the PS5 is faster than anything currently available on the market. So the closest guess we can have right now, let's say they go for a launch bundle that has a 1 terabyte hard drive. Well, the fastest SSD you can get right now with that kind of size is going to cost $355. Again, almost as much as a PS4 Pro. One last part I want to touch on is the RAM. Now, no one has anything about how much RAM they're going to put in these systems, but based on the kind of performance they're talking about and what we see in current systems, we're likely going to see 16 gigabytes, which is another, you guessed it, $400. So the 4 parts we've talked about alone all roughly cost the same as a PS4 Pro. That means the PS5 is 4 PS4 Pros worth. That's a lot of money. Now, to be fair, the amount it costs Microsoft or Sony to build a new system is not the same as it takes you to build one individually for yourself, because what's costing them is very different. Yes, they are buying parts, but they're buying them in massive bulk, which brings down the individual price of each one. Really, where the cost is coming from is the development, putting the whole thing together, labor, all the stuff that goes into just making that system happen in the first place and get production going. All that considered though, even if the cost of producing an individual system is less than it would cost you to build one, it's still more than what they usually sell for. It's this kind of tradition in video game business that consoles are sold at a loss or at a very, very minimum profit. And the reason for this is that they want to make systems as affordable as possible, so that way once people buy them, they start buying all the other stuff related to the system, and that's really where the big profit comes from. Whether that's all the games you buy that are licensed out by that company that they get a share of the sales. buying additional controllers, buying accessories, buying branded stuff that's based on the systems. All that stuff comes together to yield a lot more profit to balance out the cost of selling those systems at a loss. The point of this is that game consoles are worth more than a lot of people realize, especially when they were first coming out and it is brand new tech. And that's always been, I think, one of the big strengths that consoles have in that argument of, well, should you buy a game console or own a gaming PC? Because in the console market, it's not only a very user-friendly experience where you just buy it, plug in your TV, and do initial setup, and you should be good to go, but you're also getting all of that at a overall much better value than if you tried building something yourself. Now, it's something that you're not going to be able to upgrade as often. It's not something that's going to keep up with it, but that's the whole way that the console generation cycles work. Every few years, they release a new one, and that's a new spike of where we're going to see that shift in what games can do. So how much is the PS5 and Xbox Scarlett going to cost? I honestly don't know. 4, 5, maybe 6? At the end of the day, though, I think it's going to be worth it.